clock ticked over to midnight. The DJ booth was dark, except for the red numbers flashing on the old mixer. I had my headphones on, leaning back in my chair. It was just another night on air. Then the phone rang. I pulled my headphones off. No one ever calls when I'm broadcasting live, at least not supposed to. I looked down at the black rotary phone. It was dead. But if someone got past my screening process and somehow managed to call through the automated attendant, the line would go straight to voicemail. So I pushed the button. Hey there, you've reached the midnight special. We're currently on the air, so please leave a message after the tone, and we may play it back on air. Leave your name, number, where you're calling from, and a brief description of what you want to discuss. If you want to remain anonymous, just tell us your topic of choice and we'll get right into it. Please don't waste our time or the airwaves with prank calls. And remember, this is a request line, not an advice line. Thanks for listening and happy haunting. The phone clicked. Then all I heard was static. I turned the volume up, but it was just white noise. That's odd. I usually hear voices if I turn it up that high. Maybe it was just some kids messing around. They do that sometimes. I could hear them in the background, whispering and screaming. I wondered how they got past the automated attendant. I was about to change the station and forget about it when I heard a faint voice in the background. It sounded like a woman. She whispered something I couldn't quite make out. Then just as quickly, it was gone. I turned the volume all the way up. It happened again. The same voice. This time I could make out a few words. I replayed the clip several times. I'd never heard her say anything before. I just need to talk to you. I have something important to tell you. She sounded scared. What does she want to talk about? And why now? Was this a recording? I heard these sometimes. People would record themselves saying all sorts of bizarre things, and then send them to me anonymously. I played the tape again. I didn't recognize the voice. I knew all the local psychics, mediums, ghost whisperers, clairvoyants, even the exorcists. None of them sounded like this. Then I noticed something else. I turned the volume back down and listened closely. There seemed to be a lot more than just a woman's voice in the background. I started to hear other people. I could hear their voices whispering just beyond the range of hearing. I turned the volume up again. It was difficult to understand what they were saying. They were mumbling, but I could make out a few words. The woman said something about the baby. Another man said something about the barn. Someone else mentioned a highway. But these weren't just random words. It was almost like they were describing a story. The woman's voice got louder, more frantic. She was repeating the same phrase over and over. Go to the barn, go to the barn, go to the barn. I paused the recording. My entire life, I had heard countless stories about missing persons, ghosts, spirits, demons, gods, and everything in between. Many of the callers claimed to have special knowledge about the unseen world. Some said they could speak to the dead. Others said they could control the dead. Very few ever called back. Fewer still kept their voices on the line. But this woman wasn't afraid to stay on the line. I asked her questions, but she wouldn't answer. Instead, she continued to chant the same phrase over and over. Go to the barn, go to the barn, go to the barn. Who was she? Why was she calling? Why was she talking to me? I decided to trust her. I had no idea why. It was a hunch. I told my producer to come in and took the phone off the hook. I needed to figure this out. I drove home. On the way, I stopped by my favorite diner. It was closed, but I went inside anyway. There was only one light on, the one in the bathroom. As I walked in, I saw a young couple making out in a booth. I smiled and gave them a quick hello. They both jumped and stared at me awkwardly. I laughed and said, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'll leave you alone." Then I stepped outside to think. I tried calling the station, but the line went straight to voicemail. I tried calling my producer, but I got the same result. What the hell? Why isn't anyone answering? I got back in my car and headed home. When I arrived, I could see the lights flashing on the answering machine. I rushed to the front door. My hand trembled as I reached for the knob. I opened it and stepped inside. I was greeted by the sight of my producer sitting in my living room. He looked pale and shaken. He was holding a cordless phone in his hand. "Are you okay?" he asked. "What's wrong?" I asked him. "Back at the studio," he explained. "We tried calling you, but it kept going to voicemail. So I grabbed the spare key and came over to check on you." "Are you sure you're okay?" I asked him. "You look terrible." He nodded slowly. "I think so. I don't know. Something's wrong." Then we heard it. The same sound that had been coming from the radio. I pressed my ear against the wall. "Can you hear that?" he whispered. I nodded. It was coming from inside the wall. It sounded like the woman was close. I felt the vibrations through the floor and the walls. I could feel them as much as I could hear them. "We have to get out of here," I said. He nodded in agreement. We both knew that this was no longer about work. This was personal. We raced out the front door and into my car. I slammed the door shut and locked it. We both sat there frozen in fear as the scratching continued. Then suddenly, it stopped. The silence was deafening. I turned to my producer, and he looked terrified. His eyes were wide with fear. Suddenly, he collapsed. I reached out to grab him, but he kept slipping through my fingers. His face began to contort in a silent scream. He thrashed wildly, flailing his arms and legs. Then he stopped moving. He stared directly at me with a look of pure terror on his face. Then he was gone. In his place was a pile of ash. I screamed in terror as I watched the ash float away on the wind. I slammed my foot on the gas pedal and sped away. I spent the next few days hiding. I didn't know what to do. Where could I go? Who could I trust? I changed my phone number. I disconnected my internet. I blocked all my friends and family. I left town and rented a small cabin in the woods. I stayed in the basement with the door bolted shut. I slept in a corner with my eyes open. Every time I closed my eyes, I could see my producer's face. I could hear the scratching. I could feel the vibrations. Then, one night it happened again. I heard the phone ringing. I knew what I had to do. I had to answer the phone. So I did. "Hello. Hi, is this a bad time?" No, it's fine. I need your help. I'm scared." "What do you want?" "I need you to listen to me. Please, this is important. Tell me what you want and I'll see what I can do." "Okay, I just want you to know that tomorrow, this will be your last broadcast." "What? How? Why?" "You'll see tomorrow. Just wait until sunrise." "Who are you? Who is this?" "Wait, you'll find out soon enough." Click. I was left staring at the receiver in disbelief. What did she mean? Why did she say that? What was she trying to warn me about? I barely slept that night. I spent most of it pacing back and forth in the basement. I couldn't stop thinking about what the woman had said. I knew that whatever she was planning, it would happen tomorrow. I just didn't know what it was. As the first rays of sunlight peeked through the cracks in the door, I made a decision. I had nothing to lose. I might as well go out and face whatever was coming. I cautiously approached the door and reached out to open it. And that's when I heard it, a familiar voice whispering in the darkness. Go to the barn, go to the barn, go to the barn. I paused, unsure of what to do. Should I go to the barn? Was that where whatever this was, all happening tomorrow? I hesitated for a moment, torn between fear and curiosity. But before I could make a decision, the voice started to rise in intensity, becoming more frantic and urgent. Go to the barn, go to the barn, go to the barn. It was at that point I realized I didn't have a choice. I had to go to the barn. With trembling hands, I pushed open the door and stepped outside. The first thing I noticed was the sky. It was filled with dark clouds and the wind was blowing hard. A sense of dread washed over me as I realized I was in for a terrifying ride. Taking a deep breath, I began walking towards the barn, each step echoing the urgency of the voice in my head. Go to the barn, go to the barn, go to the barn. As I neared the barn, the whispers grew louder, accompanied by a chorus of other voices that seemed to be chanting in unison. Their words unclear, yet their presence overwhelming. Finally, I reached the barn and pushed open the doors. Inside, I found a single chair in the center of the room. It was old and worn, but for some reason, I felt compelled to sit down. Just as I lowered myself into the chair, the voices reached a crescendo, their volume deafening. Then abruptly, they all fell silent. In the sudden quiet, I heard a familiar voice. You made it. Startled, I turned to see who was speaking, but there was no one there. Then the voice spoke again. Don't be afraid. It's me. I recognized that voice. It was the woman from the phone calls. But how could she be here if no one was in the barn? How are you here? I'm here because I need your help. What do you need my help with? There's something I need you to do for me. What is it? You need to listen carefully. I only have a few seconds. Okay, what do you want me to do? You need to run. Run where? Away from here. Why? What's gonna happen here? You won't survive if you stay here. Trust me, you need to get out of this place right now. But I don't understand. Why am I in danger? What's going on here? I don't have time to explain. Just run. The voice started to fade away, becoming more distant. Wait, don't go. Tell me what's happening. Please don't leave. She was gone. I sat there stunned, trying to process what she had said. Run. Why did she tell me to run? What was she trying to warn me about? That's when I heard it. A loud crash followed by heavy footsteps near the barn. I froze in fear. Was whatever this was it whatever was chasing her? Had it found me? Adrenaline surged through me. I had to get out of there. I jumped out of the chair and ran towards the door. I could hear loud footsteps pounding the ground behind me. I didn't dare look back. I just kept running. Suddenly, the ground beneath me gave way, and I fell into a deep hole. I cried out in pain as I landed on the ground at the bottom. Dazed, I looked up to see a dark opening above me. Then I heard it. A voice, the voice from the barn. It's too late. With newfound determination, I scrambled to my feet and started climbing towards the opening. I could see a faint light above me and hoped it led to the surface. Just as I reached the opening, a hand clamped over my mouth, stifling my scream. I struggled to free myself, but the grip was tight. Then a voice whispered into my ear, Go to the barn, go to the barn, go to the barn. I recognized that voice. It was the woman. But how could she be here if she was already dead? I turned my head slowly and locked eyes with the woman. Her face was pale and lifeless, her eyes hollow and dark. A single tear rolled down her cheek. Then she opened her mouth and spoke again. Go to the barn. Go to the barn. Go to the barn. And as she repeated those chilling words for the final time, I understood. I was trapped in a nightmare, and the barn was my final destination. The screen fades to black as the woman drags me back into the darkness. The last thing I hear is her voice repeating over and over, Go to the barn. Go to the barn. Go to the barn.